Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going through every single book I read in 2023 as well as all the stats, which I'm really excited to share with you guys and just kind of like delve deeper into my reading of 2023. It's currently January 1st of 2024. And I'm so excited to get some pre-filming done and then go sit down on my ass and read all day. If you couldn't tell, I have a bit of a cold, I feel quite bunged up, so if I'm talking a little bit weirdly, that may be why. But without further ado, I'm going to start off by stating every single book I read in the year of 2023. I'm not going to give synopsises, I'm not going to give ratings, I'm just going to say every single book that I read, and then we'll go into the stats, like my favourite, my least favourite, the average rating, etc, etc, like all the fun little stats that everyone likes to find out at the end of the year once the reading year is up. So, drum roll please. Without further ado, all the books that I read in 2023 started off with Space Band by Tom Fletcher, Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, The Girls Are Good by Iaria Bernardini. Just as an FYI, if I'm not holding up the book, that is because either I've already unhauled it because I didn't really like it, or I never owned it physically in the first place. I listened to the audiobook, or I read an ebook via my library or Scribd, now Everand. I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy, Influential by Amira Sage, The King Is Dead by Benjamin Dean, Grown Ups by Marion Keyes, Little Lion by Brandy Colbert, Counterfeit by Christian Chen, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, The Bread the Devil Need by Lisa Allen Agostini, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, XOXO by Axie O, The Stand-In by Lily Chu, Five Survive by Holly Jackson, a reread of The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, Adulting by Liz Talley, Fine Print by Lauren Asher, The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armes, A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kemmerer, The Wrong End of the Table, let me just get this right, a mostly comic memoir of a Muslim Arab American just trying to fit in by Asa Salma, The Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella, All My Mothers by Joanna Glenn, Verity by Colin Hoover, A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer, a reread of Head Over Heels by Hannah Orenstein, a reread of This Close to Okay by Lisa Cross Smith, and a reread of Pretending by Holly Vaughan, Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, Happy Place by Emily Henry, Three Keys by Kelly Yang, a reread of Half a World Away by Mike Gale, A Girl with a Louding Voice by Abby Dare, One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Set on You by Amy Lee, Girlfriends by Holly Bourne, Love Me Do by Lindsay Kelk, Do's and Donuts of Love by Adiba Jagira, Love and Other Scams by PJ Ellis, No Show by Beth O'Leary, Friends, Lovers and a Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry, Put on a Feeling by JC Lee, How to Die Famous by Benjamin Dean, The Museum of Ordinary People by Mike Gale, a reread of I Heart London by Lindsay Kelk, The Year After You by Nina DePass, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, 7 Day Switch by Kelly Arms, Period Power, a manifesto for the menstrual cycle by Nadia Okamoto, Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, Nearly All Men in Lagos Are Mad by Damier Kuku, I want to say is how you pronounce the author's name, sorry if I'm butchering it, 7 Days of June by Tia Williams, Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner, The How and the Why by Cynthia Hand, reread of I Heart Christmas by Lindsay Kelk, Pictures of Lily by Paige Toon, The Invisible Life of Adelaide LaRue by V.E. Schwab, a reread of Caravel by Stephanie Garber, a reread of Legendary by Stephanie Garber, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, Yellowface by R.F. Kwong, Yours Truly by Abe Jimenez, Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, Best Men by Sydney Carger, The Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Bachman, A Christmasaurus Carol by Tom Fletcher, The Christmas Book Club by Sarah Morgan, A Holly Jolly Ever After by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone, The Vintage Shop by Lynn Page, The Secrets of Happiness by Lucy Diamond, and finally the last book I read in the year of 2023 was a reread of I Heart Forever by Lindsay Kelk. So if you didn't want to do the maths whilst I listed all those books out, I read a total of 73 books in the year of 2023, one of my better years since the year of 2020 when I read 100 books. In 2021 I read 93 out of 50. In 2022, so just a year just gone technically because it still feels weird that it's 2024, I only read 46 because a lot of life stuff happened, like moving out into this home, etc, etc, and then obviously this year I read 73 out of my usual goal of 50 books. So I'm very happy with the amount of books I've read. I just wish more of them were 4 or 5 stars. So all 73 books spanned across 26,415 pages. My best reading month was joint first with April and September. My reading month in April massively helped the amount I read due to my prompt to prompt challenge, and I'm really hoping I can bring that back at some point in 2024 because I had so much fun doing it. And then my worst reading month was November when I only read 1 book, and that was The Christmasaurus Carol by Tom Fletcher. That is just because I had my Magical Thon readathon in October, which was a week long. I read 6 books and just completely burnt myself out for just over a month, and I didn't really read anything until the very end of November when I wanted to read some Christmas books. So I picked up The Christmas Carol by Tom Fletcher, and he got me out of my slump. But yes, definitely November being my worst reading month of the year. In terms of reading method, and by the way, all these stats that you're seeing on screen are thanks to G from the Book Roast creating Core Pile, which is where I track my reading digitally, and they kind of create all the pie charts and graphs that you're currently seeing on screen, so thank you very much, G. My reading method, so split between physical, ebook, audio, and mixed media. Mixed media tends to be if you've read a book across multiple ways. I tend to use it as physical and audiobook. I read 52.2% of my books this year via physical books. These little beauties. 21.9% were mixed. So this is, like I said, physical and audiobook. And 2023 was the year that I discovered how much I enjoyed reading books along with the audiobook. I absolutely have so much fun sometimes reading books like that. It really just immerses myself more into the stories. 19.2% were just audiobooks. Now having a longer commute to work, being in my new home, I definitely kind of utilised the driving and the commuting to listen to some more audiobooks, and I listened to some amazing audiobooks this year. And then, quite sadly, only 2.7% of my books were ebooks this year. I think only 2 of them were, which is crazy. I used to love reading on my phone, I used to love reading ebooks, but this year I just haven't gravitated towards ebooks whatsoever. I'm really hoping 2024 I can change that. I have a little challenge that I'm going to set myself, and then if I complete that challenge, I'm going to treat myself to a Kindle, which is really exciting. So if you want to know more about my reading goals, then I'll link my New Year reset up above and down below for you to check out. But they cover like my reading goals, my life goals, and just a whole kind of like reset for the new year. My shortest book, according to Goodreads, was A Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Bachman. This is one of his other very, very short novellas. I didn't unfortunately enjoy this one at all. I had such high expectations going into it after having absolutely loved And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Bachman. This one just didn't hit the spot. I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't really know what was going on. It was only like 62 pages, so it's not like I spent loads of time on it, but it was quite a disappointment seeing as I kind of class Frederick Bachman as one of my favourite authors. My longest book was Grown Ups by Marian Keyes. Any year that I read Marian Keyes, she tends to kind of take title for the longest book because her contemporary books tend to span across the 450, 500, potentially 600 pages, which I think is a hell of a lot of pages for a contemporary. I do enjoy some of her books, but Grown Up just wasn't kind of for me, but I did kind of slog myself through the 600-page physical book. My average page length was 365 pages, which I actually think is quite high, seeing as I obviously predominantly read contemporary and romances. They tend to be like the 330, 350 page mark, so potentially some of the longer books I read obviously bumped that up a little bit. My average rating was a 3.6, and I really, really, really want 2024 to be the year that I kind of get to the average 4-star mark. I would love that so much, but obviously I want to read the books I read. If they don't hit the spot for me, then that's not kind of my fault, I guess. Potato, potato. So I'm just really hoping I pick some whoppers this year and kind of bump up my average rating. My most shelved books I read this year, so the most popular in terms of Goodreads and the amount of people that have shelved it to want to read or read, etc., was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. No surprise there whatsoever, and I did really enjoy this book. I gave it a 4-star. And my least shelved book, sadly, if you want to read it, I do highly, highly recommend it, is The Christmas Carol by Tom Fletcher. I'm assuming it's because it was one of the newer releases that I read. It only came out in October, plus it's a middle grade, and I just don't think Tom Fletcher's books are kind of spanning the booktube, bookstagram kind of community, so probably why it's least shelved. Going back to some bar graphs and pie charts, my most read genre, of course, drumroll please, no surprise here, contemporary at 54.8%. My obviously next most read genre is the romance genre at quite a low 23.8%. And my third one, and if once again, if you've seen my New Year reset video, you'll know this, but it's fantasy at 8.2%, and I actually want to bump that up in 2024 because I want to read more fantasy this year, and just thinking about it is making me really excited. I want to find a new genre that I really, really enjoy, and seeing as fantasy is my third read genre, it clearly shows that some of the books I do read each year do categorise themselves as fantasy, and I do end up enjoying them, such as the Cursed Dark and Lonely trilogy, the Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber, etc, etc. So I want to kind of delve more into fantasy this year, and hopefully at the end of 2024 my kind of slice of pie for fantasy kind of ups a little bit to like maybe 10-15%. That would be incredible. In terms of age category, I'm not surprised here at all. Adult kind of hit the 74% mark, which I'm not surprised. I really don't tend to gravitate towards YA or middle grade anymore, but a few authors I know I already love. I don't tend to anticipate new books in those categories anymore. So for YA it was 21.9%, which would have covered authors such as like Benjamin Dean and the fantasy series such as A Curse of Dark and Lonely, which is a YA, as well as Caraval, which is a YA. So I tend to think I enjoy YA fantasies, and then obviously more adult contemporary romances. And then middle grade is a very, very small slice of 4.1%, which tends to just kind of cover Tom Fletcher these days. I managed to finish 2 series, and that was the Curse of Dark and Lonely trilogy by Bridget Kemmerer. I managed to read the 2nd and the 3rd book this year to complete that series out, tick tick. And then the other one I completed was A Sweet Mess trilogy by JC Lee, having read Book on a Feeling to complete that companion trilogy. This one was really fun. I've just kind of added this one in here just to see, and then if I reflect back on this video it'll be interesting to see whether like I stay true to this or not. So these are series that I started this year but don't want to continue into 2024, and there's going to be 2 kind of quite controversial ones in this. And the first one is the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I read the fine print by Lauren Asher in 2023 and didn't enjoy it whatsoever. It kind of just pushed a 3, but I want to say more 2.5, and I just really didn't enjoy it. It really kind of eked me out. I didn't like the setting, even though it's a Disney kind of inspired romance. It just didn't do it for me, and I didn't like it, and I have no inclination on picking up the rest of the series whatsoever. And then the other one that I started but do not want to finish, even though the first book was a 5-star, but that is the Icebreaker Wildfire books by Hannah Grace. I absolutely loved Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I read it during my Magical Hopathon at round 3 in October, binged it in a day, gave it 5 stars. I was just constantly squealing. I loved it so much. It made my top books of the year, which is a spoiler for my best books, which is coming this Tuesday as you're seeing this on Sunday, I believe, but I can't quote that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I absolutely love that book, but I have no interest for some reason to read Wildfire. I think it's maybe because it's set at like a summer camp, and that just kind of doesn't really like interest me at this point in time. So currently I have no interest in continuing with that series either. However, series that I continued with or started this year that I would want to continue into 2024, so a more positive note, and that is the Front Desk series by Kelly Yang. I read the 2nd book, 3 Keys by Kelly Yang, in 2023 and really enjoyed it. This is a middle grade series about a Chinese immigrant family who run a motel, and it's just so sweet. I absolutely love it, and I think there's like 4 or 5 books in the series, and I'm really hoping can continue with that series this year. The next series that I'm interested in continuing on, and I actually have the next book in the series on my physical TBR, is the Set on You series by Amy Lee. The first one being Set on You by Amy Lee, the second one being X's and O's, which is like the one that kind of took this series by storm, but on BookTube and Bookstagram, because the second one, X's and O's, follows a Bookstagrammer. So I am intrigued, because I have it on my physical TBR, to continue with that series. I also want to continue and finish in 2024 the I Heart series reread that I'm currently doing. I have 1 more book left to read, I Heart Hawaii, so I'm really hoping that I can finish that one off in 2024. And finally, I want to finish off the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. I reread Caraval and Legendary this year to prepare myself to read Finale, but I didn't get around to it. So Finale is on my January TBR. I'll link that video up above and down below if you're interested to see what books I'm starting off the year with in 2024, but I'm hoping I can read Finale very, very soon, and I'm very, very excited to get to it. Just a couple more little statistics I wanted to run through with you guys. The first one is my most read author this year, and it depends on whether you want to count rereads or not. If you're not counting rereads, then my most read author, brand new, first time reading her books, Taya Jenkins Reid. I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, rating it 4-star, Daisy Jones and the Six, which I gave a 3, and One True Love by Taya Jenkins Reid obviously as well, which I gave a 4-star. So she's becoming quite a consistent, high-rated author for me. In previous years, I've also read Malibu Rising as well as After I Do, so I am slowly getting through her backlist. Will I read any more Taya Jenkins Reid in the next coming year, in 2024? I'm not sure. But in terms of new books, Taya Jenkins Reid was my most read author. If you want to count rereads, then Lindsay Kelk is my most read author, because I reread I Heart London, I Heart Christmas and I Heart Forever this year, as well as reading her most recent release, which came out this year, Love Me Do. So I read 4 Lindsay Kelks if you count rereads. If you don't, then I most read Taya Jenkins Reid. And to finish off on a really positive note, I wanted to tell and just shout from the rooftops my new favourite author this year, an author that I discovered and hadn't read from before, that is now one of my new favourite authors. I'm much anticipating all her future books, and she has another one coming out this year in 2024, which I'm very, 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 very excited for. Drum roll please. Ashley Boston! Rating both of these books 5 stars. 5 stars in like February, January, March time, and 5 stars in like July, August time. I can't remember exactly when I read these, but it easily became 2 of my favourite books of the year for 2023, and I cannot wait to read more of her books. I absolutely love her writing. I love the romance. I love the fact that she's able to kind of like intertwine a fantastical, magical realism element into all her books. I'm just really excited to see what else she produces, and I'm very, very excited and very much anticipating her next release. I think it's called like The Novel Love Story or something. I can't really remember, but I'll put the cover up on screen. That is coming out in June, which I'm really, really excited for. So yes, Ashley Poston definitely became my favourite author of the year. So those are all the stats I wanted to run through with you guys today. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know some of your stats down below, how many books that you read, which one was your favourite, have you discovered a new favourite author, what was your most read genre? I would love to know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from reading vlogs, monthly TBRs, monthly wrap-ups, and any other bookish content that you could probably think of. I usually have it on this channel. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Without further ado, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.